Hey, welcome to Game Dev Weekly. My name's Max and I'm the developer of Hydroneer. And this week I'm going to answer some questions asked on Reddit. The game's been out for a week now and sales are going really well, but also the main thing for me is the reviews. They are going really well. I'm looking at about 83% review score, which is amazing, and just over 1,000 views. Dante Delvgas asks, how are values calculated? I.e., if I cut a bar in half to make something that takes 2 bars, will I end up losing money or gaining money in that conversion? So when a bar is cut in half, it literally just takes the value of that bar and splits it directly in the middle, so you will not lose anything out by halving a bar. And whenever you craft anything in the game, it also increases the value. So let's say, for instance, I take 1 iron bar and I make a dagger out of that. Let's say that it starts off at a value of 10 coins for just this 1 bar. If I make it into a dagger, it'll probably be something around 12 coins for that dagger, increasing the value by just a little bit. These aren't exact figures, these are just an example. Next question, Jesus the Source asks, is multiplayer mode possible? No. I get this question so much, and it is something that a lot of people would like to see, but just the way that the game's developed, it would require me to redevelop the entire game. Now, I'm not saying that I'm gonna make a second Hydroneer, right? But if I was to make a second Hydroneer, it would have multiplayer. That isn't hinting anything. I literally have no plans right now to make a second Hydroneer. I think it would be really cool and would be something that I would want to work on. But just to clarify, there are 0 plans to make Hydroneer 2 or make Hydroneer multiplayer. Shy Guy 2610 asks, how do you get the studio name and the logo? One night at university, me and my best friend Scott were having some beers and having a laugh about silly band names. We thought, hey, why don't we just come up with some ourselves? So we spent the night getting drunk and coming up with some really ridiculous band names, and I got a few of them right here. Hometown Backbenchers, Electric Loose Tooth, Backstreet Water Polo, Liquid Twisties, Lord of the Crimp Slide, Lumberjack Slip Hazard, Joystick Loose Cannon, Tome Tidal Turn Shift, Smurf Grip, Swim Fast Lift Heavy, Borderline Crispy, Tinfoil Wraparounds, and many more. It was really fun, and Foulball Hangover just was one of them. I was faced with having to create a studio name and I couldn't really think of anything, so I just took a look at the list, found Foulball Hangover there. It doesn't mean anything, but it's quite fun. It's also really annoying. Whenever I've got to call up any bank or anything, they're always on the phone to me like, yeah, it's Foulball Hangover, right? That's the name of your company? And yeah, it's a bit silly, but hey, it's a game studio. It doesn't have to be like serious or anything. And the chicken dinosaur logo was just something that me and my friend Andy came up with. I wanted something kind of silly to go along with the silly name of the studio. Mr. Chaos 42 says, love the game so far. It has great potential. Do you have a roadmap for future updates? Really excited to see this game more fleshed out, and what about mod support? So the first answer about future updates, what I've put on the store page is just like a kind of little taster of what's going to be in the future updates. But I really wanted to utilize the YouTube channel as a way of releasing my roadmap. I know this might not be too conventional to some studios, but I think it's kind of like a fun way of doing it for both myself and for people watching. I really do enjoy these weekly videos, and I think it's a great way for people to find out what's coming in the future of Hydroneer. And as for the mod support, I will probably be looking at that last. It kind of makes sense to develop the entire game, put out all of the updates, and then think about mod support so people can continue the updates for the game when I move on to other projects. NXPower04 asks, how did you get into game development? And that's a funny story. I never really thought of game development as like a career. When I was studying at school, I actually went to a drama school as well. And yeah, it just wasn't something that I wanted to do. So I was making mods for games and never really thinking of it as a business. I didn't really make any money from it. I was kind of just doing these things for fun. And whenever I was making these mods, I was kind of doing things in a way that was pretty much like what I do now, right? I was working with a few other people, but mainly doing most of the work myself, and kind of learning all these things about what goes into an entire project when you've got models that you have to make and you also have code that you have to do, and the large organization that comes with a project. So this kind of really set me up for what I do now, because I do a lot of stuff where I work sometimes with other people. Like Dan, for instance, will do the sounds. I'll talk to him about, hey, this is kind of what this kind of sound that I'm going for, and then he'll figure out exactly what this sound should sound like. I had a really crappy job that I hated. It just really annoyed me working at this place where I didn't really feel like I knew what I was going to do in the future, and all of a sudden I just thought, hey, why don't I just go to university and I'll do this game development thing since I already know quite a lot about it, and I didn't really have any other skills. After a few years of university, I just figured that I really enjoyed it and I really liked the organization aspect of things. So I just started making games by myself, and now we're here. Misa Drink Too Much asks, when I put things in the back of my truck and they fly away, where do they go? Heaven. The Nautical Nautilus asks, do you ever think Hydroneer will ever have true automation? And this is a really, really good question. There are 4 types of players in Hydroneer. There's the shovel and bucket players, the ones who, even after playing for hundreds of hours, they want to be deep in their mines with their shovels and their buckets and mining a lot of things by hand. There's the players that want true automation of just using ram drills to power everything. There is the player who likes the Goliath drill, who will have automation but continuously move their Goliath drills. And then there's the final player, which uses the excavator truck and then has kind of like an automated system where they just output the dirt and throw it straight into a system. Now, when designing updates for Hydroneer, it's really, really important to think of these 4 players. Whenever I'm adding something new or changing something, I need to be catering for all 4 players. Now, the players that I think need to be catered for the most in these coming updates is probably the full automation players. The ones who just want to kind of sit back and let their mining operation work. Now, Hydroneer isn't really designed to be a game where you make a system and then you let it work and you don't have to do anything. You can leave your computer and come back and have loads of money. I don't really want to be creating a game like that, but I do want to cater for players that just want to have some sort of automation. And I think the ram drills are pretty good at this, where you just place down the ram drill and you have to repair parts of your base every now and then. A lot of players find that ram drills break too fast, but then under further investigation, it may be that they haven't got enough filters on their base, or maybe they don't turn off the water going into these filters when they're not using the machines. These are really good ways to improve your mining operation, and if you join the Discord, there's a lot of people in there that will help you out in actually figuring out how to have a better operation. But something that I want to do to actually help out these players is investigate how I can make some of these automation processes better. Now, the ram drill's a really good step in this direction, but it does have its problems. Because it produces such small objects, you don't really get big gems. Now, this is obviously a little bit by design, where the ram drills are only really meant to be made for early automation in the game. So I want to address in this update how we can have more of a late game automation and not just rely on these early game ram drills. So more information on that will follow soon. Malay asks, what made you make the money a physical item and not just a value on the screen? That's a really cool question. The whole game is kind of based around just taking an inventory system and throwing it away. The player has to look after every single one of their items, and I really, really like that about the game. Now, before the 1.0 update, there was actually money displayed on the screen because I couldn't really figure out the best way forward in having the player use physical money in the world. But since it's been introduced, I think it's made a really cool impact on the game, and I think it's really nice to do something different. A lot of people don't like the fact there isn't any inventory system. They don't like carrying things one by one in the game, and maybe the game just isn't for them. The game takes a really unique approach to how items are handled. The game will never have things like pockets where you can put items into, because I just really want to avoid that. But there's a lot of cool suggestions that I've had about, players that struggle with buying many items in bulk, and it's something that I'm going to address in 1.3, and I've got a really cool way of doing it. The last few days, me and the community helpers have been going over every single community suggestion that there has been and working it into the design of 1.3. I've been discussing with the guys about some of these ideas and how I can change them to work really well with the actual game design. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be going through a lot of these ideas on this channel in the next coming weeks. I release videos every Monday, but a little bit earlier for patrons. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for all the questions today. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Now, there are a lot of things that I haven't addressed, obviously. There's going to be so many things in this update and I'm really, really excited about it. As well as all these new features, there's also going to be bug fixes, changes and balances. Thanks for watching everybody, and I will see you all next week.